Okay, good morning, everyone. Well, morning, late morning, I guess. And welcome to our first Zoom delivered recitation. So my name is Zvonimir, and I'm one of the two professors who will be teaching CS 2100 this semester. And so in general, I will take care of the first two recitations on Tuesdays, and my colleague Bay will do the second two, and then most of the other responsibilities we share between us. So what I'll talk about today, I'll kind of go and revisit some of the things we covered in the lectures. First and foremost, our syllabus and how the course is going to work. I'm not going to go into great detail there, but I am planning to kind of walk you through the syllabus online in Canvas so that you see what is where and so on, and you should definitely read it afterwards in more detail. And then we'll solve a problem in the area of number sequences, and we'll do a couple of logic problems. We'll see how much time we'll have. Let me just see. Okay, so before we get to our syllabus, I wanted to talk a little bit about how the Zoom meetings are going to work. It seems you guys are already on top of it. I guess you probably already had classes that were delivered by Zoom. But if not, as soon as you join, please make sure that you are muted. Otherwise, background noise tends to creep in, and then it kind of creates problems for everybody in the meeting. I would also appreciate if you would turn on your camera if you can. It's kind of nice to see faces on the other side instead of just talking to a blank screen. You know, I will clearly not be enforcing this, but you know, if you can turn it on, I would appreciate that. And then a little bit about how to ask questions. Please do not just, you know, unmute yourself and start talking. Since, you know, there is 60 people in this meeting, and that will then potentially lead to confusion because you cannot see each other, so it's kind of hard to synchronize. It's not the same as where we are in person in classroom and you can see your colleagues. So we do have then a TA that joins for each of these recitations, and the same is true for discussions on Thursday. And the only basic task of this TA is to monitor and manage the questions. So, you know, at any point during this meeting, feel free to use the raise hand feature of Zoom to indicate that you would like to ask a question. And then if you do that, I will kind of pause here and there. And at that point, TA will unmute you and you can ask your question. Alternatively, there is also a Zoom chat, and you can ask your questions there as well. The TA will monitor this chat throughout this lecture, and he will relay these questions to me. In this recitation, the TA that joined is Mark Barnowski, so you can see him among the participants. Okay, so those are the technical details about Zoom meetings. Any questions about this? Okay. Okay. So these are the main topics or big areas that we will cover in CS 2100. So we'll start with Boolean logic and proofs. And I also indicate chapters in your textbook that apply to this topic. Then we'll do sets, functions and relations, counting, probability, and then we'll finish with graphs, you know, in late November. So that's what we'll cover in this course this semester. You know, in the lecture we covered different reasons why 2100 is important. So another one that I want to stress out, and you know, I've been interviewed by people, and at some point I interviewed at companies as well. And maybe you know how these interviews look like already. You know, every half an hour, another person comes and they ask you this, let's say, interview questions, and lots of them are programming questions, and quite a few of them are actually related to the material that we'll cover in 2100. So some examples are, you know, how would you flip all odd bits of a number, or how would you find the next multiple of 64? So this is related to propositional logic that we already talked about, and we'll talk more about later in this recitation. And then I've seen questions related to probability and counting. And here is one example that includes SOX. So among many other reasons for why this material is useful to know, I would say jump interview questions also come up. Okay, so I already mentioned this, so let's do a quick walk through the syllabus. And I don't have slides on this because I wanted that you see how the syllabus looks on Canvas and where things are and so on. I think it will be more useful than I saw in the slides. So let me now switch to my browser. Okay, so I'm on the wrong page. So hopefully you all opened the course Canvas page by now. If you haven't, do this as soon as possible. And familiarize yourself with Canvas, where things are. The main thing that you should look for today is the syllabus. So syllabus describes all the details about the course, who the people that teach the course are, and then how the course is structured, what are different materials for the course, student relations, and so on. So let's go through this a little bit slower. So, like I already said, there is 2 instructors for the course, myself and Professor Bay Phillips. And we have, I think, 6 teaching assistants that will be helping out in the course. So teaching assistants will take care of the discussion sessions on Thursdays. I already mentioned this, the lectures. So the pace of the course is pretty fast. And I tried this out a number of times. Make sure to not fall behind. Try to solve a lot of problems every week, work on your homeworks and so on. If you get stuck, come to office hours, and I'll talk about that more as well. Okay, so what are the kind of different parts of the course? So we have lectures. We will try to post them every Tuesday for the following week. Of course, the first week is a little bit weird because we're just starting, but going forward, you can expect lectures for the next week to be posted, by Tuesday night. And so then you have basically almost the whole week to watch them. And we post them on YouTube, and it's easy to find links on Canvas. Then we have the Tuesday recitations. You just joined for one. There is 3 more. We have discussions on Thursday that will be led by TAs who will be solving problems through Zoom with you guys. There are a couple of important dates that you should mark in your calendars. In particular, the dates for our quizzes and the final exam. So those will not be rescheduled, and you cannot miss them. So make sure that you're available on these dates. Make sure that you put a bunch of reminders so that you don't miss them. A common problem last semester when we switched to online teaching was that people would miss exams for various reasons. So don't let that happen to you. Create a calendar, be organized, follow announcements on Canvas, and so on. About the course material, there is the website of Canvas. We have a textbook. We have videos on YouTube. We are also posting course notes, so all the slides, including the slides with annotations, are posted on Canvas. It's easy to find them. Okay, student evaluation. So what is the grade based on? So we will have these 5 in-class quizzes. So a bulk of your grade is based on these quizzes. And I'll talk a little bit more about grading. We do drop the lowest quiz score. So we take best 4 out of 5. There'll be the final exam on December 10th. Before each lecture going forward, we'll have a small pre-lecture quiz. So those are the small quizzes that you can solve in like 5-10 minutes. Now that we are online, you have a whole week basically to solve them, but usually they're pretty easy. So after you watch the lecture videos, you should go ahead and solve these pre-lecture quizzes.
Zvonimir?
Yes?
We have a question from Erickson.
Great.
He says, for the quizzes, are we only allowed to do them during our scheduled time or a range of times?
So that's a great question. I think we already, so if you take a look at, thank you, Mark, this is a great question. So maybe this part wasn't clear, I didn't mention it. So basically, the window that you have to do a quiz is between 7:30 a.m. on the day of the quiz and 4 p.m. However, you only have 1 hour to do the quiz. So you can choose when you want to start working on your quiz. And once you open your quiz, this 1 hour starts. And you have to submit your solution in the end of this 1 hour. So, you know, there is plenty of different times to choose from when you want to start, depending on your other classes and your availability and so on. But once you start, you have 1 hour. And another thing I want to mention, you cannot pause it. So when you open the quiz, the clock starts and you have to submit it an hour later. You cannot pause this time, get back to it later, and so on. Everything in the class is going to be online. So quizzes are, you know, take-home quizzes that you solve at home. And, you know, there is a page that explains how to submit your solutions and so on. I hope that this helps. Any other questions? Yes?
Yeah, so if you start the quiz at 3:30, does it stop halfway?
Yeah, you have to start it. So the latest time you can start it is 3 p.m.
Do they have to manually submit?
Yes, you have to manually upload your solution into Gradescope.
But does it close when the 60 minutes is over?
We, I like all these detailed questions about how the quizzes are going to work. We do have, we allow a little bit of a grace period. I think we set it to 15 minutes. So basically, you do have from opening the quiz, you have hour and 15 to submit it. How you want to budget this last 15 minutes? I mean, I strongly suggest that you use that time to actually, you know, upload the quiz. Because, you know, once that closes, that's it. And 15 minutes is plenty of time to, you know, take photos of your pages and upload them. So that's how it's going to work. And another thing I want to mention, so we are going to organize a test quiz where, you know, we'll give you like one question that you can kind of solve, and then you will be able to try to upload it into Gradescope and so on. So we'll have a test quiz that will give you a chance to practice just the kind of technical side, you know, how scanning works, or taking a photo with your phone of the quiz, and how to upload into Gradescope and so on. So that will get you ready for the actual real quiz. Any other questions?
Yeah, so will there be a recitation on the same day as the quiz?
No, there will be no recitations on the day that we have the quiz on. So that day is just reserved for quizzes.
How will quizzes work? Can they upload photos of handwritten solutions, or is it a document?
Yeah, so if you open this page, general rules for exams, so it talks about that. So you should definitely read this. You don't have to read this today, but in the next week or two, please go over it. So in short, we offer a couple of different ways. The one that I expect the most students will use is that you solve the quiz using pen and paper. You can print out the questions and solve underneath, or you can just look at the screen and kind of solve the questions using pen and paper. And then there is an app that you can install on your phone. I forgot the name of it. It's also listed there. And that app allows you to use your phone as a scanner. And so you will, install this app, use your phone to scan each page of your quiz, and then it automatically converts it into PDF, and then you can upload this PDF into Gradescope. So Gradescope is the tool we'll use for grading and so on. And we have experience with this process from back in spring, and it actually works really well. The scanning with your phone works remarkably well. So that's, I think, what most students will do. Apart from that, of course, if you have a scanner at home, you can use a scanner to scan the pages. We also do provide a Word template and a LaTeX template. So if you don't want to use pen and paper, you can type in your answers. If you are quick in terms of typing in math, right? Like typing in formulas and so on in Word is a little bit tricky, but there is that option as well. So there is a couple of different options that you can do this. Okay, more questions.
Yes. Can they resubmit if they catch an error within the time limit? And are the quizzes cumulative, or do they only cover new material?
So resubmit, I will have to take a look into. I believe we do allow that within the time limit, but I will confirm this for sure, and I will post the answer on Canvas. That's a good question. So I think it's allowed, but I will double check that. And what is the next one, Mark?
Are the quizzes cumulative, or do they cover new material?
Are they cumulative? So quizzes are not cumulative. So they, quiz 1 is going to cover the material that we will cover up to September 8th, more or less. Then quiz 2 between September 8th, September 29th, and so they cover different areas. Final, on the other hand, of course, is cumulative. So anything goes in the final, but quizzes are not cumulative. Having said that, some of the material does build on top of each other. So for example, we do a lot of proofs later on about sequences. So of course, the question is not going to be directly about sequences. It's going to be to prove something about a sequence. And so you kind of need to know sequences to be able to do that. Or let's say when we are covering graphs, we will probably be doing proofs about graphs. So, it's a graph related question, but it is a proof technique that we covered before. So in that sense, you will have to kind of know material from previous parts of the course, but not directly, indirectly, let's say. Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, so quizzes are uploaded Gradescope, correct?
Yes.
And how do recitations differ from discussions?
Yeah, that's a good question. So they are both going to be, in a sense, kind of flipped classroom. So most of the, let's say, basics are going to be covered in online lectures. And we will try to use most of our recitation and discussion times to solve problems with you guys. So, so I think the structure is going to be fairly similar, except that in recitations, because I lead professors, we can answer kind of course-related questions and so on better than TAs can. And also, we will have like a short intro for every recitation section that will briefly go over the materials that we covers in the lectures and so on. But by and large, they will both be based on around problem solving, because I think that's a really important aspect to be successful in this course. So I want to do a lot of problem solving with you. Okay, more questions?
How many questions are to be expected on the pre-lecture quizzes, and are they timed?
Oh, I have to look into this myself. I don't remember the numbers. I just know that they are usually they're short. You can solve them in like 10-15 minutes. So and are they timed? I believe they're not timed. But I will double check that. Actually, I don't want to say a wrong thing, but I'm like 99.9% sure that they're not timed. So basically, you can open it and you can use as much time as you want. But in general, you should be able to solve them in 10-15 minutes at most. But I will double check that and post on Canvas. More questions?
No.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Well, thank you all for these great questions. I think I covered lots of them. For the ones I wasn't sure about, you can expect an announcement on Canvas kind of later today covering those questions. Okay, let's get back to our syllabus. Okay. So we talked about in-class quizzes, final exam. So those are what is going to be, what course evaluation is going to consist of. And then this small pre-lecture quizzes and homework assignments. So we already posted homework assignment 1. And take a look at it, start working on it early, budget time every day to work on different parts of it and so on. They can be quite lengthy and some of them can take quite a bit of time. It varies a lot from student to student, but usually it takes quite a few hours to solve them. They are, in the end, they make up, there's going to be 7 homework assignments. They make up only 10% of your grade. But there is, I would say, a pretty big correlation between, how much you work on your homework assignments and how well you do in quizzes. So homework assignments are the main part where we are basically solving problems and exercises that will help you to do well in quizzes. So make sure to invest time into, doing homework assignments on your own, understanding how to solve problems in the homework assignments. That will help you a lot to do well in quizzes. Okay, when it comes to grading, so we have these 5 quizzes. We take best 4 out of 5, so we drop the lowest quiz grade. Use that option carefully. Try to shop for all the quizzes and so on, but you do have that option. There is final exam, which is 20% of the grade. You can't miss it. The date is already set, so make sure that you put it in your calendar. Then we have these pre-lecture Canvas quizzes, which are worth 20%. We will drop the 2 lowest quiz grades. 7 homework assignments, 10% will drop the lowest grade. So this is these are the how scores map to letter grades. You can take a look at this home. One thing I want to say here is that there'll be no rounding of scores. Okay. So please go and read this page on how to get help in CS2100. So the main thing that you should familiarize yourself here are our office hours. So there are a number of office hours available throughout the week. So every day you can find office hours. Most of them are led by TAs. Some of them are led by me and Professor Phillips. There is a separate Zoom link for office hours. And so, if you want to come to any of these office hours, just click on the Zoom link. You will be first in a waiting room in Zoom. And then once the TA is ready, you can have a one-on-one meeting with the TA. And that's a good way to get help on homework problems or whatever you're struggling with. So take advantage of those and read this page in general. Any questions?
Is there a time limit on TA help?
No.
Or yeah.
So there's no time. I mean, we do have let's say preset blocks when TAs are available. Of course, if you need more time, I mean, usually TAs can kind of extend their office hours beyond that and so on. So there is no how much you want to come for office hours every week. That's up to you. I mean, as far as we are concerned, you can join for every office hours. One important thing I wanted to say is when you do come to office hours, do come prepared. So with questions, concrete questions that you want to ask the TA and so on. Or for example, with your attempt to solve a problem that you're struggling with and things like that. If you show up with a blank sheet of paper and you expect for a TA to kind of handhold you through all of the homework problems in a couple of hours, then that's not going to happen. So that's not how we're going to run office hours. So when you're showing up, we want to see that you actually invested some time on your own to try to solve a problem before you came asking for help. Okay. So towards the end, there is a few different kind of policies related to inclusivity, safety, and so on. I talked about cheating during the online lecture, so make sure to look into our cheating policy. I guess a big main thing to remember is that if we catch you cheating, you will fail the whole class. So not just get 0 points on a quiz or something like that, but rather you will fail the whole class. And in the lectures, I describe different scenarios that constitute cheating. So please make sure to understand those and so that we avoid this unpleasant issue for everyone this semester. I'm really hoping I won't have to have these discussions with you, but yeah, I say this every semester, and every semester I actually have to go through that. So please prove me wrong. Okay, so I think this covers most of the syllabus. So if you click on modules, my internet is super slow, probably because I'm streaming. There's a couple of important pages in addition to the syllabus that are right on top of modules. So how to get help, we already looked at this, important online links to Zoom meetings and YouTube, how homeworks are going to be graded and how you submit them, and the same goes for exams. And then we break the schedule into weeks. And so for each week, there will be a lot of materials here, like links to lectures, links to slides, and so on. The most important thing to look for is the weekly to-do list. So we will publish this before the beginning of each week. And so this is, for example, the to-do list for your week 1. So again, what tends to happen now that we're teaching online, I guess somehow because we don't have in-person meetings, students kind of tend to lose structure and get a little bit lost in the structure of the course and the deadlines and so on. So we really try to put a lot of things in place to avoid this as much as we can this semester. And the main one that we'll be doing is this weekly to-do lists. So, you know, if you open this on Monday morning or the weekend, you will be able to find a to-do list for the following week with everything that you kind of have to focus on and go over in that week. And this is an example of such to-do list. So I would say put a reminder I think we'll try to post this, you know, by Friday night. So over the weekend, have a reminder or Monday morning to open the to-do list. Any questions? I think here I will stop with going over the Canvas links and so on, and I'll go back to my slides. So any final questions about this?
Is it possible to put the relevant sections of the textbook in the to-do list?
I mean, we do have stuff like this. Read textbook chapter 1. So if once not the whole chapter applies, we'll break this up into sections. So I'll make a note of that. But yes, there will be relevant sections of the textbook in the to-do list. Any other questions?
No.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
Where is pre-lecture quiz 1?
Oh, good question. Oh, it should have been posted. Okay, maybe we didn't make quizzes visible. I will look into this. That's a great question. I will look into this. Thank you. Any other questions?
Should they watch both lectures for the week before recitation?
Great question. Yes. So, like I already mentioned, so we are going to post, the first week was a little bit weird, but for the second week, we are going to post lecture videos, let's say by tomorrow morning. You know, we'll try to post them every Tuesday. So tomorrow morning, starting with tomorrow morning, you'll be able to find and watch the videos for the second week. And you should definitely watch them before recitations on Tuesday. So what is kind of covered in these videos is the material that is needed for you to understand the recitations better. Yes, good question. Any other questions?
Someone said pre-lecture 2, quiz 2 is the first quiz, and that's the only one listed in the quizzes tab. So there might not be a pre-lecture quiz 1.
Yes, another great question. Right. I mean, you know, we didn't want to give you a quiz before we actually see you. So there is no pre-lecture quiz 1 because that we didn't want to force you to do a quiz, you know, before this recitation session. So the first pre-lecture quiz is, let's say, before week 2. So yes, that's correct.
Are they supposed to go to a specific section on lectures?
Probably you mean recitations or discussions. No, you can go to whichever one you want. We are going to cover the same material. in all of the recitations and also in all of the discussion sessions. Of course, it'll be different instructors, so questions might be different and so on. So there will be some difference in terms of maybe a little bit how we solve problems and so on, but they will, the material that will get covered and the slides and everything will look the same. So you can pick and choose whichever one works best for you. All these links are public, and so we're not going to monitor whether you are joining the one that you actually signed up for. Know that we are also recording these, and we will post them on YouTube as well. So in case you get sick or for some reason you cannot attend a particular Tuesday or Thursday, you will be able to find those later on YouTube. Any other questions?
No.
Okay, great. So we have 15 minutes. We probably won't have time to cover all of the questions I have prepared. But let's maybe start with a question that I have on truth tables. Okay, so let me see if my pen is working. Not quite. Oh, it's funny. Sorry about this. In color blue. Okay. All right, now it's working. So let's do maybe the truth table. I kind of like this one better. So, we covered this in lectures. So we want to show using a truth table that this equivalence holds. So note that this symbol that kind of looks like equality, but there's 3 bars, that symbol means equivalent. So we want to show that left-hand side of this formula is equivalent to the right-hand side. And there are 2 different ways of doing this. One is using a truth table, and the other one is using the rules for rewriting these formulas. And so let's first do a truth table. So how do we do a truth table? So we have to find truth values for all elements of this formula. So we have 2 variables, P and Q. Then we have this expression P and Q. Then we have not P. So we have to list all sub-formulas of the left-hand side and then all sub-formulas of the right-hand side. And we have to show that they're the same. And then we have the whole thing. So we have P and Q or not P. And then on the right-hand side, we have not P. Or actually scratch that. We don't need that. We already have not P here. So we'll just pick up that one. So we don't need this. What we do need is not P or Q.
Zvonimir?
Okay. Yes?
Will these slides be posted so they can practice on their own?
Yes. So all the slides of all the lectures and discussions and recitations, including the ones with the scribbles, that I'm now creating, all of this will be posted on Canvas. Okay, Now we have to create a truth table out of it. So first we have to put in all the different combinations of values that we can have for P and Q. So we can have false, 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 true, true, false, true, true. So one common error that we see is that students sometimes forget a row, right? So when you have only 2, it's kind of easy. When you have 3, it gets a little bit more complicated. So a good sanity check is to check that you have all the rows. So if you have only one variable, you need 2 rows, just true and false, right? If you have 2 variables, like in this case, you will have 2 to the power of 2 rows, which is 4, which we have. If you have 3 variables, let's say P, Q, and R, you will need to have 2 to the power of 3, which is equal to 8 rows, and so on. We are not going to do 4 variables. 16 rows gets really big and really complicated. Okay, now we have to fill in this table. So let's start with P and Q. So we have the AND operator, and you have to know the truth table for the AND operator. So that's something you have to know by heart to be able to fill this in. An easy way to remember AND is that P and Q is true only if both P and Q are true. So in this case, we will have false here, false because one of them is false, false because one of them is false, and only true here. Any questions? Okay. Not P, you have to flip the value of P. So if it's false, becomes true. If it's false, becomes true. If it's true, becomes false. True becomes false. Okay, now we have P and Q or not P. So we have to compute OR between this column and this column. So unlike AND, OR is true as soon as at least one of them is true. So either left-hand side or right-hand side is true, the whole thing is true. So we have false or true is true, false or true is true, false or false is false, and true or false is true. Great. So this is now the evaluation of our left-hand side of this original formula. And let's now do the right-hand side. So we have not P or Q. We look up the column for not P, and we look up the column for Q, and we do OR between them. So we have false or true is true, true or true is true, false or false is false, and true or false is true. So this is the evaluation of our right-hand side of this formula. And now to show that they're equivalent, we have to show that these 2 columns match. And indeed, they do. So true matches true, true matches true, false matches false, and true matches true. So by doing this, we now show that the left-hand side of this formula above is equivalent to the right-hand side. Okay, so you should definitely practice truth tables. They will certainly be in the quiz. So any questions about this?
Not on truth tables, but the YouTube recording of this will be posted on Canvas afterward, right?
the YouTube recording of this will be posted on Canvas afterwards. That is correct, unless I mess something up, but hopefully I won't. I mean, we are live streaming this and it should be easy to post as a recording. So yes, my intention is to post this as a recording, and we will do this for every recitation. It might take a few hours because I am teaching again right after this, but let's say by tonight, you will able to find this as a YouTube recording, yes. Any other questions?
No.
Okay. So let's, now that we started this one, let's do the same formula. We want to show equivalence using these rules of propositional logic. So this is the other way of how to show equivalence of two formulas in propositional logic. So how do we go about this? So basically, we want to use these rules that you can see below. And typically, we want to use them to rewrite the larger formula into the smaller one. You can do it either way. I mean, you can also grow the smaller formula to match the larger one. But somehow, the way our brain works, I find it much easier to try to shrink formulas as opposed to grow them. So we're going to start with the left-hand side, and you want to apply these rules below to rewrite it into the right-hand side. So what do we have? We have P and Q or not P. That is equivalent to, what do we do first? Yeah, if we look at the rules, if you look at the distributive one, so the one here, we are really similar to this rule, but we are not quite there. We first have to switch the order so that not P goes to the left. And we can switch the order using this commutative rule, in particular, this one. So we use the commutative rule, and we get not P or P and Q. So that's equivalent to. And we have to write always which rule we use, commutative. So don't forget to write which rule you used. And in particular with commutative rule, you have to, whenever you use it, you have to note that. It's really kind of easy to do it in your head, and we want to avoid that. So whenever you apply a rule, you have to denote that you are doing it. Okay. Another thing that I forgot to mention, that's a common kind of issue that comes up. You know, in this problem, we are using P and Q in the formula, and P and Q appear in these rules below. Of course, these P and Q are not the same P and Q. So the formula could have been over like X, Y, and Z, and you will still be applying these rules. So you should think of these rules as templates. So P and Q in these rules are placeholders. And for example, now we're going to apply the distributive rule, and this P in the distributive rule is a placeholder for not P in our expression. So when we apply distributive rule, we get not P or P and not P or Q. So that's distributive. Okay, let me now speed this up a little bit because we're running out of time. Not P or P, almost like negation rule, but not quite. We have to flip it first using commutative. So we get P or not P and not P or Q. So here we applied commutative again. And now we can match negation here with P or not P. So that evaluates into just true. So we have true and not P or Q. So we use negation here. Okay, now we have true and something. Kind of similar to identity, but we have to switch first. So we apply another commutative. And we get not P or Q and true. Oops. And then let me close this. That's equivalent to. We apply now identity. And we get not P or Q. So we apply this equivalence rules, and starting with the formula on the left-hand side, we manage to massage it into the formula that we had on the right-hand side. And therefore we proved that the left-hand side is equivalent to the right-hand side. So that's how you do this proof using these rules. Okay, I'm a little bit over time here. Any final questions?
So is there a question lecture?
Sorry, could you repeat this?
Is there a way to ask private questions after lectures?
Private question after lectures. It's a little bit hard because, yeah, that's a great point. You know, usually if it's in person, you can kind of catch me in the hallway. It's a little bit hard because my second recitation of the day is starting in like less than 10 minutes. So I just don't have time after this recitation for private questions. You can always send me an email or send me a private message, even better. You can send me a private message over Piazza. And also, my office hours are tomorrow from 9 to 11. And Professor Phillips has office hours later in the afternoon today. So both of these office hours are a great opportunity to ask me private questions. But after this first recitation, it's going to be hard because the next one is starting really fast. Any other questions?
Someone asks if he can create a Discord server for this class section.
I don't know what this means.
It's like a chat server.
So let me think about this. I have to consult with my colleague, Professor Phillips, on this. I don't see a problem with that. I mean, there already is Piazza for kind of course-related questions, and you're more than welcome to ask questions there, and TAs and us and other students will help you. You know, if you want to create a little kind of virtual study group, I definitely encourage that, and maybe Discord is a good way to do that. So I will make an announcement about that. I don't think I have a problem, but I have to check with Professor Phillips. Okay, any other questions? Okay, we have to wrap this up because I actually, in 5 minutes, my next session is starting. Actually, no, in 10 minutes. Okay, so maybe I do have time for one more question.
I don't see any more questions.
Okay, great. Anyways, my main goal today was to cover the syllabus because I think it's really important for you to get what is where and how the course is structured, especially now that we're teaching you online. There is a couple of other problems. I will actually solve them in the slides, and I will post these slides with scribbles online. So you will be able to find the solutions. But I also encourage you to try to solve them on your own. And thanks everyone for joining today. It'll be an interesting semester. We put a lot of effort to kind of structure the course and put it together, and we'll provide all the help we can to help you guys to be successful this semester. And these are weird times, but it's nice to be teaching again. It's nice to see your faces. So thank you all. Bye, everyone. Really big and really complicated. Okay, now.